All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through writing some Java programmatic examples based off of either a payroll program or separate programs such as this one. And our book is Gaddis's Starting Out with Java Early Objects, 5th edition, and I've done the 16 chapters with the PowerPoints. I'm now doing several lectures, and I've already done one for chapter 1, 2 for chapter 2, 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 2 for 5, 1 for 6, and I'm on the third one for chapter 7. All right, when we get done, I will do the chapter 8 palindrome, and then I'm finished for today because I've done all those lectures, and I'll have to start writing some more code. All right, in this example, this is written almost in a more procedural manner, but you'll notice that now when we call this, it comes up with a kind of an ugly menu, but it says, what do we want to do here? Well, 1, that generates the new array. 2, that displays the array in the original order, which is what I just showed you. 3 displays it in ascending order. 4 displays it in descending order. 5 gives you the largest number. 6, the smallest number. 7, the sum of all array elements. 8, the average of all array elements, and 9 ends the program. Now, I was thinking that one thing I kind of did here, which was maybe bad, and I really could fix this, but I don't have an array yet. So if I say here, display the array in original order, notice what I get. So if I ran that now, I'd have all zeros. So what I really should have done is in my constructor, all I call here is show menu. Okay? So really, I think what I should have done in the constructor is I should have probably called create new array and then called show menu. I don't know if that'll make it better or not. I'm going to try that. So create, whoops. Hopefully I'm not going from good to worse here. Create new array and then show menu. All right, so let's run that. It's not going to look any different, but now if I say display the array in original order, there are values in there. All right, I can still generate new values if I want. That's okay. Okay. All right, I think that's a little cleaner way of doing it. So let's take a look at what we've done here. First of all, you'll notice that at least somewhat it's a little graphical. All right, because I've got the show input dialogue and the show message dialogue. Okay? All right, I've got this line because I was going to try doing this a certain way, and it just didn't work, so I can remove that. I can remove this. I was going to try to put in here something with an array list, but I just couldn't get it to work correctly. So I don't need any of these. So I'm cleaning it up a little bit. You should always do that. If you've got extraneous code that's not being used, don't keep it there. At a minimum, comment it out, but otherwise just get rid of it, because that's what's known as code bloat. All right, and you have code there that you really aren't using, so there's no reason to keep it there. I put comments. I pushed them way over. I think so it lines up down below, but I don't remember. So this is the array size constant. All right. So I've got a constant in here now, 25, so I don't have to remember what to actually put a number in there. Now I only have 2 arrays. In the last example I had 3. I had the original, the ascending, and the descending, but I only need 2. Because I'll copy either the ascending or the descending to there. Notice here, I set everything up like I did and showed you before. All right. I want to check something. I'm sorry. Just very quickly here because I may have forgotten something in the last program. Just reminded me seeing this. Yeah, you see I did not set sum equal to 0 here. I'm just trying to be consistent here. When I remember something, I want to go back and change it so it looks and is correct. All right, so here is where we're setting it up. So I'm not using a constructor per se there. I'm just doing all that stuff right there as far as putting the values in. Okay, create my new random number object. Now notice in the constructor for that literally says create an infinite loop. So this program keeps running until I enter a 9 to tell it to exit. But otherwise it'll just keep running if I wanted to forever. So I call create new array. All right, when I first start to create the 25 numbers, same code we had pretty much before. All right, and then I call show menu. That brings up the kind of ugly little menu that I showed you here. Enter a 1, enter a 2, etc. I've got output str for output string, and that holds all of these values. Choice is going to be whatever number I put in, but remember when I put it in, it's automatically put in as a string. So I've got to run the integer .parse int, and that converts that from an integer to a string. I could have really left it as a string, but since it is a number I'm putting in, that's why I changed it. Then I call correct method, which is this one. It's a big switch statement, which says if I entered a 1, call create new array. If I enter a 2, call display array. If I enter a 3, call sort numbers ascending. A 4, sort numbers descending. A 5, display largest element. A 6, display smallest element. A 7, display sum of elements, and notice it says true there. An 8, display average of elements. A 9, I just give a message that says program exiting normally. And if you enter anything other than a 1 through 9, I just show the menu again. So notice if I ran this and I entered a 34, it would just show the menu again. Okay, if I entered a 0, it would just show the menu again. All right. So I thought that was a little cleaner way of handling that. All right. Now if I enter a 1, we create the new menu. Then I call display array. And notice I pass in here the word original. Here I pass in the word original. Here I pass in the word ascending. Why did I do that? Because what I do here is I say the array is, and this S, that number, that right there, which is this, is either going to say the array in ascending order or the array in original order. All right? I'm just trying to make sure I'm not constantly keying in the same code over and over again. But I try to really be compartmentalized and really write like small, crisp methods. All right, so let's take a look at each one of these methods as they were written. So here's the first one. And again, you can see it's just an array. It generates the 25 random numbers between 1 and 100, and it copies each number as it's created into my numbers copy array. So when I get done with this routine and I've run, and I'm right down here at the end, I now have 2 arrays that have the exact same values in each. They're not the same array. They're 2 different arrays that have the same exact value in each array. Display array, sorry. Display array does just that. The array is in, again, either original or ascending order, and we go through each one. And what I did was I just put a blank between each one. I didn't worry about commas or anything like that. I could have done the same thing, but I didn't. Then I did a J option pane and printed all that out. The sort ascending was nice and very small. It's just arrays.sort, and that arrays.sort is defined in here. There are some arrays functions. Let's take a quick look. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go to java.sun.com. We haven't been out here in a while. And I'm going to go to the Java API. We'll just again grab the latest and greatest. And over here, I just want to go down to array. I think it was actually arrays. And you'll notice there's a lot of stuff in here. But if we go far enough, there's sort. And there's a bunch of sorts, so it's been overwritten. There's a lot of sorts. But notice what's not in there, PS. There's no reverse. Now, JavaScript, not Java, but JavaScript has a reverse method that you can use. Java does not. All right, so what I had to do was write my own, for lack of better words. So, we've looked at the create new array, the display array, the sort numbers ascending. Here's the sort numbers descending. You notice it's still not very large. All I did was I said sort it, so it's now in order, but then print it out, but print it out in reverse order. So instead of starting as we did before, starting with 0 and going to the length, we're starting with create new array, display, sort ascending, sort descending. There it is. We are starting at the end, which is the size minus 1, so our 24th element, and as long as we're greater than or equal to 0, subtract 1. So it's going to show element 24, then element 23, then element 22, then element 21, all the way down to element 0. So it's just printing what's there, but in reverse order. All right, and now that I think about it, I probably didn't even need that output array, that number's copy. Oh, I did need it because I wanted to be able to keep the array in original, print it out in original order as well. Smallest should look familiar to you because it's exactly the same way we wrote the smallest one previously. No difference. We assume that it's the first element in the array. We loop through all of the other ones, and now that I'm looking at this, again, I want to bring this one back up because I want to show you. I've already seen, it's not an error, but I want to show you something where I really didn't write it very well. All right. If I'm assuming there that this is element 0, why not start with element 1? I'm making the computer do a little bit more work than it has to do. So one more time, if I'm assuming the smallest is element 0, I don't have to start by looking at element 0 again because it's comparing it with itself. That's kind of silly. It's a waste of resources. In the same way, I did the same thing here. Since it's element 0 right here, instead of starting at 0, I should start with element 1. I've already accounted for element 0. Same thing here, 0, so that should be a 1. All right. The sum is exactly the same as what we saw before, but notice I've got here if f. What the heck is f? And you're passing in a Boolean. If it's average, if I leave that out, I'm going to print the sum and the average. But if I ask for the average, that's all I want. So notice that if I run this and I put in a 1 to put in my new numbers, there they are. Just run through the whole thing. A 2, there's the original order. So you can see 86, I'm sorry, that 2 is the smallest. And you can see that 100 is the, what did I do there? Let's start it all over. A 1, a 2, a 1, 24, 20, etc., a 2. Now it's regenerating the array, so I did something to screw this up. So just me, I can't ever leave well enough alone. What I am going to do is I'm going to go back, and I don't know if this is what the problem was, but this, in our constructor, I'm going to remove this, create new array right there. I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to run this again and see if that fixes it. So if I put in a 1, there's my numbers. If I put in a 2, that's the same numbers. Good. If I put in a 3, so you can see my smallest number should be 6. A 4, you can see my largest number should be 100. A 5, and it is 100. A 6, and it's 6. A 7, the sum is 1410. An 8, the average is 56.4. And a 9 exits the program. All right. That's looking pretty good. All right, so we've gone through all of these, and please notice just exactly how simplistic the driver becomes. all I do is create a new ArrayFun2 object. That's it. Technically, when main was that small, I really could have included main in the other file. All right? Because there's only one line of code in here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the way I did it, but you could make a case and say, well, geesh, since it's that small, you really shouldn't have made a different file for it. And there is some legitimacy that you can say for that. All right. So we have now gone over the Hello World program, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other programs. So we've done 12 programs, and we're going to go through the palindrome program next. So that'll be program 13. It's very simple. The whole program is right here. It's 60 lines. I didn't make classes, extra classes. I did not make a constructor, etc. I tried to keep this as simple as possible, so I'll be back with that. So I want to talk with you about string builder. I wanted to talk with you about a string builder method, using the is letter, using the reverse and the toString, the equals, ignore case, all right, etc. So I wanted to show you that stuff. So I'll be back with that example shortly.